Hey folks, and welcome to another Killing Floor 2 SDK guide by yours truly. I am Sean, also known as Sean Chaos or Sin Chaos. In this guide I'm going to show you how to create a destructible light from scratch. Now you may already have destructible lights in your map because you've just copy pasted the one from the official tripwire maps, which is perfectly fine. Those are fully configured and working just perfectly. But let's say that there's a light not available in the official maps that you want to have, or that you're just the inquisitive type who would like to know how it's actually done, then this video is for you. I have a small office area here and I'm gonna add a ceiling light, which I'm gonna convert it into a destructible actor that will break when shot and turn out the light. This is fairly simple to do actually. We're gonna open up our content browser and first of all find a suitable light. I'm gonna go to Biotics Lab. I'm gonna type in light in my search field. Not likey, light. And I'm gonna fully load this map package and see if I can find any lights that I like here. These are a bit too large, that one's too red, that one's a modular floor light, that's too matte. This one, the hex light, Biotics Lab lobby hex light. Let's add one of these. That looks okay, it's nicely aligned with my ceiling. Just gonna move it around a little bit. I'm gonna place it, let's place it over here by the pillar. Okay, now this is just a static mesh right now. It doesn't do anything, it won't react to us shooting it. It's basically, well, it's a static mesh, it's a static element. So we need to convert this into a destructible actor. And one way that we can do this is by opening up, we can mark it, open up our content browser, go to actor classes, click this KF destructible actor, then go back into our map view, right click and go to replace with KF destructible actor. This now turned our light into a green raptor head, which obviously is not what we want it to look like. We still do want it to look like the lobby hex light that we found before. Let me just find it again here, because I need to mark it in my content browser, open up the settings of my destructible actor. You see we have these options here, because destructible actor, we're not going to be messing with this one. We want to go to the sub-objects and we want to tie in a new item by clicking this green plus. That opens up a 0, which is now a sub-object. We can give it a name. I'm going to call it hex light, but you don't need to name it. It's just something I like doing. And we're going to in the mesh, we're going to create a new object in the mesh. It's going to be a static mesh component, which now allows us to open this up, and we open up this static mesh component, and the static mesh is set to none. We mark this in our content browser, hit the green arrow, and now our destructible actor has become our hex light. We can still see the green raptor head, but don't worry about that. We don't see it in game. This is just an SDK thing. Now I'm going to just collapse these again to make it a little less confusing to look at, because this is still just a static mesh component, right? There's no actual light here. So let's add one. We're going to open up our content browser, go to actor classes, find our light, and I want this to be a spotlight. I'm going to drag a spotlight in here. This looks pretty good. I'm going to change the color a bit, make it sort of yellowish to better fit with the material. And I just need to make sure that I am actually recording. Yes, I am. Good. I'm going to change the brightness to 3 and reduce the radius to 512. Right, that looks pretty okay. But right now, if we go into the game and we shoot the light, nothing's going to happen. I could shoot this all day and it's not going to break, because we haven't told it to actually break yet. So I'm going to mark my hex light, and down here we have this thing called damage mods. Right now there isn't any, so let's create one. Hit the green plus, open up this 0, and now we have a damage mod which we can give a name. Let's call it broken. And the way this works is it has a default health value of 50. This damage mod has a health threshold of 0. This means this has 50 hit points when it's taken enough damage to reduce its health down to 0, as is indicated here. this will break and something is going to happen. That something is what we're going to sort of set up in this section here. The very first thing that I want this to do is I want to make sure that when this is destroyed, the light turns off. In order to do that, I need to link this spotlight with this actor. And the way that I do this is I click my destructible actor, then I hit this little lock up here, make sure that this is now locked, meaning no matter what I click in my map, my hex light properties stay open. It doesn't change over to the new item. This allows me to click the light while still have this option open. Then I'm going to go down here, light parameters 0, I'm going to create a new item, open this up, and the light actor is now my spotlight by clicking this green arrow. There we go. What is going to happen with this light when the damage reaches 0 is I want to make sure that the light is disabled. So I click this just to make it completely stop working. If we go back in the map now, shoot our light, there we go, 50 points of damage dealt to it and the light got switched off. But it doesn't look like it's off, does it? We need to fix that. Let's change this. Because what we do here, we're going to mark our hex light, open up our properties, and we're going to scroll down here. We have this called material replacement. Notice we're still in our damage mod, which means when the damage reaches 0, we can change the material by adding a new material replacement. So let's find a suitable one that looks like broken glass. I just happen to know that down here in the signage material, if we load this and wait for it to load, there is a quite nice sort of broken glass material. I think it's somewhere towards the bottom. Yes, there it is. Tower screen broken. So we select this, tie this in as the new material, like that. Let's go check. Now, I'm gonna say right away, so you don't get too surprised, this is not gonna work as we want it to, because look. It's the rim that got broken, not the actual light itself. And this is because this particular light mesh actually has two material IDs. It has a material ID for the rim and a second material ID for the inner actual light thing. And if we look at our material here, this is set to replace our material on material index 0, which is the rim. We wanted to change the material index 1, which is now this center area. We go back in, shoot it once more, and it should be okay. That's what we want to see. And that's basically actually it. Technically we're done now. We have a destructible light, and essentially that's all we need to do. But I do want to tweak it a little bit more. I do want to add some more fidelity to it, because we do have a lot of options to play around with. Let's see. Actually, let's make it a little more interesting. Instead of just outright breaking, why not make it flicker first and then break later? How do we do this? Well, the way that we do this is we add multiple different damage mods. Right now we just have this single damage mod, which is when the lamp gets broken. But let's change this to make it a flicker instead. So I'm going to rename it to flicker. And I'm going to set the health threshold to, let's say, 25. That's 1/2 of its total health. Now, I don't want the material to change just because it's flickering, so I'm going to delete this and leave this blank. And I also don't want my light parameter to be disabled. Instead, I want it to start flickering. The maximum brightness, I'm going to set that to 3, because that's what the actual light is set at. As we look here, it's set to 3. So that's the maximum brightness, and the lower brightness, the minimum, I'm going to set this to 0.05. That's quite low. The animation frequency, I'm going to set this to 0.45. Now, if we go back in and shoot it, when we deal 25 points of damage, this should now start to flicker. And it does. That's wonderful. Beautiful. Excellent. But if we continue shooting it, it's never going to break because we've now removed our broken damage mod. All we have now is a flicker mod, right? So, what can we do here? We're going to add a second damage mod. Now we have 0, which was the original one, the flicker. And now we have this one as well, which is a completely blank one. We're going to call this broken. Health threshold is at 0. Yes, that's correct. The we want to add the material replacement of the broken screen. We had that down here. So I'm just going to collapse the first damage mod so that we have a second damage mod open. Material replacements, we want to add this broken lobby screen or tower screen, whatever it was. We want to change the material index to 1 to make sure that it is the right part of it that actually breaks. The light parameter, we need to tie in the same light again. So I'm just going to lock this, click my spotlight, create a new light parameter, click the green arrow, and make sure that this is disabled. That's basically it now. Go back in, we shoot it. At 25 damage, it flickers, and if we continue shooting it, it eventually breaks. So that's a 2-stage damage mod. But we can do even more. We can do a bit more. Let's actually open up our damage mod, which is this one where it's broken. Let's add a sound effect of shattering glass, so that when it actually breaks, we have this sound of glass breaking. That was a good sound I made, wasn't it? Let's find a suitable glass shattering effect. I'm going to go into my audio package here, the ambient. I'm just going to load the whole thing. And instead of scrolling through all of these, because there's a lot of them, I'm just going to make sure that I have this ambient folder selected. Click up here, I'm going to type glass. We have glass sliding, glass entrance, glass open, blah, blah. There, destruction, glass shatter. That's probably a fine sound. I'm going to tie this in here with the sounds. And before we go test, let's also add a particle effect. So I'm going to collapse this, the audio. I'm going to open up my effects. I'm going to go into environmental emitter. We actually have a glass breaking emitter right here. So I'm just going to use that. So under particle effects, I'm going to add a new item, hidden the particle effect. Now I can change the offset of where the particle effect occurs if I want to make sure that the particle effect needs to happen somewhere else. I could essentially make it happen over here, which wouldn't make any sense. But if you need to do this for some reason, in some destructible actors you may need to, you can tweak where the actual emitter actually plays by altering these numbers. But for this light, I want it to happen right at the center, right in the middle, which is going to be perfectly okay. So, with all that done, let's go back in and check. We're going to shoot it. 25 damage, it flickers, and now it's going to break. It shot down a glass shatter emitter, and we heard the sound of glass clearly shattering, which is really nice. That's a simple basic 2-stage what do you call it? Destructible light. But there's one last thing that I want to show you, because you may have noticed in our flickering mod. Let me just go back in. Once it starts flickering, it just flickers on the environment. It doesn't actually flicker on the light itself. We can make it do this. And the way we do this is we open up our properties. When we go down here to light parameters, we've set this light parameter to work on index 0 because there's only one light parameter. If we add a second light parameter, because we've already established that this mesh actually has 2 separate material indexes. So the way that we do this is we add just a second one down here. We tie in the same light in here. Now we have 2 light parameters linked to the same light actor. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Ignore me. Forget everything I just said. it's this one. We have this one actually called material light parameters. I'm very sorry. It's in the material light parameters. Material ID, yes, here it is. We tie in the light down here. Light actor needs to be this one, and the material ID needs to be, well, we want the light to act with both the rim and this centerpiece, so we're going to add 2 material light parameters. One for material ID 0 and one for material ID 1, and it's still going to be the same spotlight actor. Okay, this should now do it. There we go. See that? This is what it's supposed to look like. Continue shooting it and it eventually breaks. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You have a custom from scratch created destructible light. And you can do this with any type of light in the game. You can find any kind of mesh. We can tie in even, let's just, for good sakes, for good measure, let's tie in 2 lights to the same light destructible. So we have a spotlight, but why not put in a point light as well? Because a point light can sort of light up the, well, it's a bit extreme right now. Let's try 256. That's too much, isn't it? We're going to set this to 128, the radius of our point light. We're going to move it down here. Right. Change the color. Make it sort of yellowish. Brightness 2. This way, we now have some more sort of backlighting on the ceiling. And the process is exactly the same. We're going to open up our destructible actor. We're going to lock it. Click our point light. That was the wrong one. This one, the point light that we just added. And we just add all of these point lights to the exact same settings. So for the material light parameters, we add the point light on both of these. On the material parameter 0 with the point light, and the material ID 1 and the point light in here. We do the same thing in our damage mod. We have these light parameters. The first one is our spotlight. The second one is going to be our point light. We tie that in there. We're going to do the same flicker. We're going to just imitate the exact same settings of the spotlight. So an animation rate of 0.45, a max brightness of 2, because that's what we set the point light to, and a minimum of 0.1. That's in our flicker. Then we need to also add our point light in our broken mod. Exactly the same process. We go into light parameters, we add a new light parameter, tie in our point light, and we make sure that it's disabled whenever it's broken. And there we go. One last try. That's gorgeous. That is just gorgeous. It's easy. Once you understand the process, it really isn't all that hard. And like I said, you can do this with any type of light you want. You can add as many, well, not as many damage mods, but you can add a lot of damage mods. I think there might be a limit, but I'm not sure what the limit actually is. I'm sure you'll find out if you really need it. But we could do all sorts of things. We could add in sort of sparks instead of just having glass like in the particle emitters, particle effects. We could add all sorts of particle effects. Let's get this open. See what we can. Sparks. Why not add in a spark? When it's broken, we want it to send out sparks. How about setting it on fire as well? I mean, why not? You could do that. We can essentially do whatever the hell we want. So let's see. Fire. It's gonna look pretty silly, especially because I'm not gonna bother actually setting the correct location of it. So I'm just gonna tie it in just for fun, just to demonstrate actually all the things you can do, all the crazy stuff you can do. I'm gonna shoot it. It breaks. It sparks, and it's on fire. And there you have it. That's it for this tutorial. I'm sure with this you should be able to figure out how to make all sorts of really crazy destructible lights for your own map. It's not overly difficult. Just pay attention to what can be the most confusing is making sure you have all these light parameters set up and the material parameters and all this stuff. I mean, even I made a mistake originally trying to tell you a lie, but I figured it out pretty quickly. So even for someone who's used to working with it, it can be a bit confusing. So don't be disheartened if it feels overwhelming at first. Just, you know, take it slow, take it easy. Watch this video step by step if you need to. And as soon as you get the understanding of it, it's going to be so much more fun for you to build these types of things for your map. I hope you find this tutorial helpful, and feel free to watch some of my other ones. I'll be doing even more whenever I get around to it. I plan on covering as many things as I can in the SDK, and until then, take care of yourself, have a good time, and make sure you make some quality maps and share them with the world. Go kill some Zeds, and like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. Bye bye.